Friday. Now, the report covers a wide variety of insights from default servicing professionals who were surveyed at the company's annual Disposition Summit in April. And this is amazing. 57% of the survey respondents expect growth of only between 1% to 4% in their organization's foreclosure volumes during the latter half of the year.
Well, it seems, Bruce, that there's kind of two main things that are keeping this kind of amount of foreclosures low and not expected to grow much. And that's a couple of things you mentioned. One is just there's more options in terms of loss mitigation. And a lot of those came out of the pandemic era where we wanted to, we had forbearance and we allowed people to skip payments and tack it on to the end and et cetera, because we understand the importance of keeping people in their homes. And so some of those programs have continued on even post-pandemic, and people are taking advantage of that. The other big factor is the amount of equity that exists in a lot of these homes. And we've covered that on this program in the past, right? The amount of equity and the number of people that have massive equity. As a matter of fact, respondents estimated that the seriously delinquent loans, so that's 90 days or more past due, in their portfolio had a combined loan-to-value ratio of 65% on average. So in easy terms, that's 35% of equity in the home. So if you're really behind and you don't see a pathway to catching up, or one of these programs doesn't match for you, selling the home is still an option rather than foreclosure, right? And that's one of the main factors in these numbers and why they're not rising rapidly.
Chase, I was at a training event in Austin, Texas last week, and one of the people there was an attorney, and she was sharing the fact that there are conferences where attorneys go to figure out who they're going to go and sue next. And the real estate industry is a prime target. They look at whatever they can do. So again, we're going to see a lot of pressure. And, the denial of rehearing request on Friday wasn't the only news related to DOJ and realtors. In fact, the California Association of Realtors announced that it will release new forms for its members on July 24th. And that announcement came weeks after the DOJ launched a formal inquiry into the association over its forms, stating that it had concerns over whether the forms contained loopholes that would allow realtors to skirt the new rules taking effect next month, which is sort of fascinating when you think about it, right? These new rules are a result of a civil lawsuit or civil class action lawsuit that's causing us to change our rules, and it's not because of the DOJ. And yet the DOJ is coming in saying, well, okay, we think you might be trying to skirt those rule changes with these loopholes. So, I think it's a pretty fascinating time for all of us in the industry.
It sure is. And it just demonstrates that those that are involved, in this case, the DOJ, are pretty serious about whatever.
Chase, I was at a training event in Austin. Yeah, but what was interesting also in the July 8th status report, the parties noted that multiple objectors to the settlements reached with KW, Anywhere, and RE/MAX had appealed the final approval of those deals to the 8th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals. Now, that court has consolidated the briefing schedules for those appeals, giving the home seller and home buyer appellants until August 26th to submit their opening briefs. Everybody's still looking to put their hand in the pot, so to speak, and get their piece. So we're not out of the woods yet.
No, we're definitely not. And I think, frankly, Bruce, it could be a long time, if ever, if we're quote unquote out of the woods, right? There's just certainly a spotlight on the industry at the moment and coming after the way that we've been doing business for a long time, which is really unfortunate for the consumer themselves. We've talked about this, right? In our opinion, it's presuming that something was wrong. And there's very few people that think anything was wrong, right? There was just a lot of money to be grabbed by attorneys. And that's exactly what happened. So yeah, this thing is still unwinding and playing out, if you will. And so, yeah, I agree, Bruce. We're definitely not out of the woods. And if you're a real estate agent listening to this podcast, the idea is you need to be paying attention so that you understand what changes are coming and how you can still win, not to be so scared that you think that you can't take great care of your clients just like you always have and figure out how to do that under the new guidelines.